Assalamualaikum everyone. Today, me and my team will be showcasing our project on GDP analysis that was supervised by our instructor Sir Tahir Sheikh. This project was focused on understanding economic trends through four key datasets that were GDP, GDP per capita, GDP growth, and unemployment rate. The goal was to visualize these datasets to uncover patterns and relationships, providing insights into economic health across different countries. Now we will meet the team who have made it possible.
Assalamualaikum everyone, this is Mohammed Furqan Rauf and I'm also part of the team.
And we are also part of the team.
Let's move forward and talk about what we did in this project. So basically we did data visualization. What exactly is data visualization? Let's talk about that first. Data visualization is the process of transforming raw data, or you can say a data set which has complex data, and turning that into visuals in the form of graphs and charts, which makes it easier to understand the data. It simplifies the data actually, and easier to identify the patterns of the data and the trends that are within the data. These patterns and trends helps us make informed decisions. Now let's move forward to the tech stack on which we use in this project.
For this project, I used Streamlit to build an interactive web app allowing users to explore the data in real time. We used many other libraries as well, such as NumPy, Pandas, but majorly we used Streamlit and Plotly. We could have used Matplotlib, Seaborn, but the thing is that we wanted it to be more interactive and user-friendly. Matplotlib provides us with graphs, but they are not interactive enough to be shown to other people.
So in conclusion, this project provides insights into the global economic trends, focusing on the interconnectedness of GDP growth and unemployment rates. Key finding includes correlation between the GDP and unemployment, which can inform policy decisions. The technology stack, including Streamlit and Plotly, enable interactive dashboards for deeper exploration.
I would like to thank my team for their constant support, and overall this was a collaborative workflow.
Alright everyone, so now let's dive into the visualizations and insights from our project. But before we jump in, let me first quickly walk you through this PowerPoint introduction. Here I will give you a brief overview of the dataset that I worked on and the key insights that I uncovered. So basically the dataset I worked on is about the global GDP from 1960 to 2022, and it has the data of around 170 countries. Alright, here we can see that the global GDP has an overall upward trend, showing that it has grown significantly over the past 6 decades. There are also some periods of decline as well, like COVID-19 and the other 2008 global financial crisis as well. Here we can see the dips here, the downward trends in this GDP over the past 6 decades. Here we have the top contributors to the global GDP. We'll also see the interactive charts in our Streamlit as well, but here we have just the insights given in this presentation. The United States have 38% share of the global GDP in 2022, and China had 26.8%, Japan had 6.31%, and Germany had 6.01%, overall showcasing that the overall 77% of the global GDP was controlled by these 4 countries combined. Alright, so here in this chart we can see that India is also emerging as a one of the top economies in the world, standing at the 5th position, which shows significant progress of India's economy. Okay, talking about this country specific GDP trends, here I have demonstrated in my presentation the Pakistan. Okay, so Pakistan had shown the gradual growth over the past 6 decades, with periods of acceleration and stagnation as well. The line chart reveals periods of economic instability as well, like the COVID-19 period, in which there was the economic crisis. A lot of businesses were shut down because of the COVID-19, and we all know that already, right? So comparison of GDP across multiple countries, I have done this for all the 170 countries. We can compare it with every country, but I have took these 5 combinations, and we'll be looking at it that in these 5 comparisons I have took United Arab Emirates, Australia, Bangladesh, Canada, and Pakistan. In this, Pakistan as compared to the other 4 are on the bottom line of this chart, because the growth as compared to Canada, United Arab Emirates, and Australia, the growth of Pakistan was less as compared to them. This is the interactive global GDP world map that I created on my Streamlit. We'll be going forward to it. Okay, so some of the conclusions and recommendations that I will make is that the high performing countries should continue to invest in technology, innovation, and infrastructure to maintain or grow GDP. Secondly, industrialization and stability is one of the most important thing. So emerging economies should focus on industrialization, reducing dependence on a single resource, and fostering a stable political environment. And the third point was economic reforms. Low GDP countries should prioritize economic reforms, global partnerships, and infrastructure development as key drivers for future GDP. Okay, so that was all from my PowerPoint introduction part, in which I give you key insights from my project. Now we will be moving on to the Streamlit part of the project, in which you can see everything in detail and where you can interact with the dashboard as well. I will also be providing the link to my project at the end of this video, so you all can access it and interact with it. Let's move forward. So this is our interactive dashboard. You can say the Streamlit web app of our data visualization project. Here we have the 4 data sets, 4 different pages. Each page we have worked on different data set for each page, and it's done by all of our team. I have this part of the global GDP visualization part. I'll be showcasing it. I have all these sections of my page, so let's dive in. Okay, so this is the global GDP trends. You can see it's an interactive chart which shows the GDP of every year. It has a continuous upward trend, but we can see here in 2020 there's a downward trend because of the global pandemic crisis, that was COVID-19. You can see the insights for every chart. After every chart there's these insights given, so that you can interact with the chart as well and also understand what the chart tells us, exactly. Here's the top 10 contributors to the global GDP. Here's the top 10 contributors to global GDP. These are the countries, and now we'll be moving forward to the country analysis, in which these are the country specific analysis, in which I want to select Pakistan and see its trajectory in the past 6 decades, from 1960 to 2022. It shows that it has an upward trend overall, but a significant downward trend in 2020 at the time of global pandemic crisis, that was COVID-19. I've also calculated some of the statistical metrics in it, like mean GDP of Pakistan over the past 6 decades, median GDP, there's the standard deviation, the quartile deviation, mean deviation, kurtosis, and also skewness. And I've also explained all these insights in text, so that everyone can understand what these values say to us. Also created this part in which we can analyze any of the 5 countries I usually take, so that the graph are clean, but we can compare any countries here. So for example, let me start it from scratch. Alright, there are 170 countries in this, but I'm only taking these 4 countries, so that we have a clean graph, a clean chart in which we can analyze these trends. I've also added these text expanders, in which you can see insights for every chart that I have given in it, right? There's this bar chart as well. That's a scatter plot for this comparison. There's the GDP distribution among different countries in the pie chart. This is a donut chart for the same comparison. Now we'll be moving forward to the top and bottom performers, top 10 performers of the GDP and bottom 10, right? So these are the top 10 performers of the GDP in 2022 specifically. So in 2022, United States was the top performer, then came China, Japan, Germany, India, and all these other countries are the bottom 10 performers. On the very bottom, there's with GDP 60 million, that is the country Tuvalu, right? So now we'll be moving forward to the world map. The world map, okay, so this is basically the world map of GDP. First we'll add the year to it. Now for example, I want to see the global GDP of 2022. I added the 2022, and it has all these colors, and it's basically interactive. The fun part is it's interactive. I'm seeing the Pakistan's GDP, it's here. The interesting part about this is that we can select and we can hover over any country, and it will show us their GDP for that year. And then also you can download the image of it as well, just like this.
So now I'm presenting our analysis of global GDP per capita trends from the year 1990 to 2023. The objective of this study was to understand how global economic growth has evolved and to explore the disparities between developed and developing countries. A time series analysis showed the median GDP per capita over the years, revealing steady global growth, but also the impacts of the major events like the 2008 financial crisis. Additionally, we visualized the data through line charts, histograms, bar graphs, and pie charts, and performed statistical analysis to calculate the mean, median, mode, and measures of dispersion, highlighting the inequality in GDP distribution. Key findings include the continued growth in GDP per capita, especially driven by emerging markets in Asia, and the economic disparities between rich and poor countries. The analysis also highlights how China and India have become significant contributors to global growth, while the 2008 crisis slowed progress in many developed economies. In conclusion, while global GDP has steadily increased, economic inequality persists, and addressing this gap will be crucial as emerging markets continue to drive global growth. Now, I'm excited to show our web app. This is the GDP per capita section. This is my section. Here we can see that we can scroll through different years. We can select the countries. We have four buttons: GDP per capita, graphical analysis, statistical analysis, and measures of tendency. For the first button, we see what is the definitions and the importance what is GDP per capita exactly. And I also have given an example. The next button, graphical analysis. This shows different type of graphs that I have stated earlier in our presentation. This is the line graph, the bar graph, the top 10 countries that has scored in the GDP per capita section. This is the pie chart, the box plot, the scatter plot, and the time series analysis between the 3 decades. Now moving to the statistical analysis. In this section, I have covered the mean, median, mode, range, variance, standard deviation, and the interquartile range. Next button is the measures of tendency. This covers the skewness and kurtosis part.
So moving forward, let's talk about the analysis of the global GDP growth trends from 1960 to 2023. Our study explores how economies have evolved over time, the impact of the major crises and the performance of the different countries. Starting with the key findings, the global GDP has generally shown an upward trend, but major events like the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic caused significant declines, highlighting the fragility of the global economies. Over the decades from 1960s to 1980s, we saw steady growth. In the 1990s era, we saw emerging markets thrive but faced setbacks like Asian financial crisis. The 2000s were defined by globalization, but the 2008 crisis exposed vulnerabilities in the financial system. More recently, the 2020s began with the pandemic-induced contraction followed by a partial recovery. On a country level, leading economies like China and US have consistently performed well due to their strong industrial bases and technological innovation. Emerging markets such as India have shown rapid but volatile growth, while smaller economies often face greater challenges due to resource constraints. These are the top and bottom performers of the 2020 GDP growth. We can see that China has 7.8% GDP growth in 2022, while India has 4.2%. Looking ahead, growth will be influenced by technological advancements, the rise of the emerging markets, and the transition to sustainable practices. However, challenges like climate change and geopolitical uncertainty must be addressed. To achieve sustainable growth, the best recommendation is investing in innovation, promoting fair trade, adopting green technologies, and fostering global collaboration. This approach will help build a resilient global economy. Okay, so let me introduce you to this web app, which is basically a data visualization dashboard. We can access this website from this link. When we first go to this website, we can see that we are on the country analysis page. From here, I have to select a country. Let's say I have select Pakistan. We can see Pakistan GDP growth data from 1960 to 2023. Now let's move forward to another page. Let's say if I move forward to comparison, I can select multiple countries like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh. I can see their GDP growth data and compare their GDP.
From here I can zoom in, from this just like that I can zoom out. Okay, that's cut. Here is the bar chart. I can select a year. Let's say I have selected 2019, so I can see their data. Let's say if I hover over Pakistan, I can see that in 2019 the GDP growth of Pakistan was 2.4, while India was 3.8. Now let's move forward to the global insights. So this is our global insights page. From here I can select a year. Let's say if I go to 2020, I can see overall the world GDP growth data in 2020, and this is the average GDP growth over time. Now let's move forward to top and bottom performers. In this page I can select a year. Let's say if I select 2019, I can see which are the top 10 countries of the highest GDP growth in 2019, and here I can see bottom 10 countries of GDP growth in 2019, and this is the chart. So as you see how this dashboard have made complex data readable. This web app can be used by many people like researchers or another user that is interested in finding the global GDP growth of the multiple countries or just one country. They can see their data.
Today, I will showcase you my Streamlit based web application based on the dataset of unemployment. To make it easier for you guys, I have made a PowerPoint presentation. So this report provides a comprehensive analysis of the unemployment dataset, exploring global trends, regional disparities, and the impact of technological and economic factors. This application aims to provide an intuitive interface for exploring global unemployment trends. Users can compare unemployment rates across different countries and regions. Third, you visualize the effect of global economic events. My dataset is from 1980 to 2024, and it was taken from multiple credible sources like the IMF and World Bank. There are two use cases of my application. First is a single country analysis in which a line graph and a world map is provided. Second, multiple country analysis in which multiple countries can be selected and global insights including highest and lowest unemployment rates for the input year, world map, top and bottom 5 performers for that input year, line chart, stacked area chart, regional comparison through bars, and multiple country comparison with respect to input is provided. This is the application I've worked on. So to begin with, I have added a guide so that it's easier for a new user to navigate through the application. And then moving on to the dashboard, it begins with the global insights. It is showing global because the region is selected as all here, and multiple values could be seen below it. And then moving on to the world map, the world map is plotted with respect to the color, and each color represents an unemployment rate as it could be seen on the right. Top and bottom are performers. This line chart, this stacked area chart, and other visualization like this regional comparison and other things which could be useful in understanding the data is provided here. Let's say now moving on to the sidebar, you could see that here is a slider on which you can select the year. Let's say I've chosen 2006, and then my outputs will be shown only for that given year. And from here you can choose the region, Europe, Asia, and do know that when you choose a region from here, the select countries, the option to select countries only shows the countries which are in that region. Let's say these are all countries which are present in Europe. Now, earlier I have discussed that there are only two ways this application could be used. First was a single country analysis, and the second was the multiple country analysis. Now let's say I have chosen Europe, and then I could compare multiple countries of Europe, and my output will be replicated with respect to my input. Now you could see the insights are only provided for Europe. These charts are only relevant for these countries. And another feature I've added is that when you choose a country, then the world map only focuses on the part which is given as an input. These are the top and bottom 5 performers with respect to the input. These graphs are with respect to these inputs, and everything is replicated. Now let's take an example which is wider. I have chosen the region to be all. Let's choose some random 5 countries from different regions. Now you could see the outputs are replicating my input. These are the countries I've chosen. These are the regions from which these countries belong. This is stacked area chart. This is the line chart based on the data of these 4 countries, and the top and bottom 5 performers based on the between these countries. And the world map only focuses on the parts which are given as an input here. Now, moving on to the second thing, which is really useful about my code, is you could do a single country analysis as well. Secondly, one thing I'm gonna show you is that these things like you could zoom in, zoom out, download, download a given chart. Let's say here there should be a download button from which you could download the whole chart from. So this is the code beginning with the imports. Uh, Obviously, Streamlit, Pandas, Plotly Express. Plotly was chosen over Seaborn and Maptronic because of its interactiveness, path library, sci-fi, and moving on to the main course of things. This is the code which is showing the guide there. Then moving on to the dataset loading, I suppose, and everything that was done in my code has been shown here with respect to the comments added. Like you could see the sidebar filters, filter data by region first, and comments have been added with each part of the code to make it easier for other people to understand it. This is the 400 line code, and which is really well written and could be reused for other datasets as well. Let me show you the whole code slowly. This is for the insights section. This is for the display insights for the selected region or all countries, as I've told you before. For the world map, for the trade and comparisons, and like this code is self-explanatory.
Alright guys, that is all from our project and I hope you liked it. I will also be sharing the link to our project so you all can access it, interact with it, and I hope you like it.